frank discussion with good ideas that can work, ideas that are adopted and implemented quickly. This cannot be a talk fest. It has to have outcomes.
Welcome to the show, Trevor Mallard, the Labor spokesman on economic development and labour. Welcome to the show, Trevor.
Good to be here. Good. Not saying it's good to be a backbencher and be allowed to be here, but it's good to be here.
Now, you weren't invited.
No, I wasn't invited.
Did you invite them when you had economic summits and Knowledge Wave? And
1984 and again in early 2000, yes, they were invited both times.
Okay. Sue Bradford, the spokesperson on employment for the Green Party. Sue, looking every bit the co-leader, should I say? Aren't you? Oh, I see. Okay, we'll see. And of course, Sue Bradford.
From our point of view, the recession's barely started. We see people in the community out there saying, what recession? Or the recession's nearly over, because in fact this country's hardly been impacted yet. But when you look at what's happening overseas, it's a very serious situation around the world, and it's a type of depression actually that in some ways we'll never see the end of, possibly in my lifetime.
Okay.
So,
really?
So it's going to get a hell of a lot worse.
Well, Phil O'Reilly, what about that?
I don't agree with that, unless Sue's very old. So I agree. Tim Shadbolt put this really well. He said that recession's like pregnancy. You never see a permanent one. And I'd agree with that point. So eventually we'll get out of this. But Sue's right in this sense. We're going to see subdued growth and subdued trading conditions for some time yet.
Who are the most... Yeah, ahoy, Damien.
Lucia, thanks very much for joining us. Are Polynesian people really, Pacific peoples really feeling this now?
Yes, they are, very hard, and I absolutely agree with Phil O'Reilly in that Pacific peoples are very low-skilled, and unfortunately they work in the manufacturing areas, pretty much the labouring jobs. And so as the recession is hitting, there is more and more of them that are being made redundant or being laid off. Most of them would be in their mid-40s, mid-50s, very hard to re-employ.
I agree absolutely with Trevor. And in fact, if you'd asked every business what the big problem was a year ago, they would have said skills and people. They're still saying that skills and people are a big issue. But
Will be. So some export manufacturers, for example, will be doing quite well because they'll have quoted business into world markets at a much higher cross rate than 55.
Mechanism, you know, I went to an open home the other day and there were dozens of couples looking at it, and that was in Westmere.
It's not really a stimulatory mechanism when so many people are losing, in some cases, more than what the equity they have in their homes. They're losing everything.
Is that a real fear? People are fearing they're going to lose their jobs now?
What the figure said is 1 in 5 were concerned that they might lose their job, but only about 4 out of 100 actually said that they believe that they would not be able to get a job reasonably quickly.
I mean, the liquidity is unlikely to flow into the economy because the way that it's been reshaped, it's going much more heavily to the top end. The people on $500,000 are getting an enormous amount. I get $20 a week, but the 40,000 family get $5 a week.
Have you or anyone you know been affected by the recession?
Not personally.
My hours, I work part-time and my hours have been cut down part-time, and that affects me because I don't even earn that much money to begin with.
Oh God, I work for an investment company. It's horrible, the Dow Jones. Oh.
Yes, that's great. Can I ask you a quick question, please? Can I ask you a question?
Thank you.
Yeah. Have you or anyone you know been affected by the recession?
Maybe not. I don't think so.
No.
No?
Nope.
Have you or anyone you know been affected by the recession?
No.
Nope.
I think that we're actually all hit harder than we think.
I have. I'm from the States, and a lot of my friends have, with families and stuff, have been laid off.
It's going to be, I think in the end it may well be worse. And in some ways it's because of what people have got used to. We've got used to endless, almost limitless growth, the sense that we can always keep buying new things and more things. The expectations are much higher this time round, and I think it will hit people harder psychologically, and that was certainly something that happened in the 80s and 90s.
Okay.
I disagree with that, because I think that the difference between the depression of the 30s and now is we've got a much better welfare state, much better healthcare systems, much better infrastructure, much better social care, generally speaking, in almost all of the developed countries, including New Zealand. So Sue may be right. Economically, it might be really problematic, but I don't think it'll have the same impact on people.
Who is the PSA president, Damien? You there?
Paula, the government has said that there's going to be a sinking lid on its staff. Are you feeling like an endangered species right now in the public service?
Well, I think it's fair to say that all public servants are feeling very nervous in this uncertain time that's confronting us at the moment. But I think it's really important to note that the public service didn't cause this recession. We're not the problem, and we are in fact part of the solution. You know, cutting public sector jobs isn't going to fix this recession. As Phil noted, many of those services that are going to help people in this recession are public service jobs. They are. So we're part of the solution. And we think it's really important that in looking for solutions, that those solutions shouldn't all be dependent on cutting the public services.
That's great, thank
you. Okay, now, good on you. Oh, very good. Just before the break, we're going to...
So, you know, you look at Kevin Rudd in Australia, and I really worry about some of the things he's doing because he's really mortgaging future generations potentially. We're not trying to do that in New Zealand, and I think it's important we don't get to that point if we don't have to.
There's nobody that I can see at the Jobs Summit on Friday representing those who worked in the 80s and 90s on creating jobs from the bottom up, the sort of work I used to do.
The tax cuts in April, do you agree with them? It's going to put an extra $20 into the pockets. People will spend that, surely?
Well, it puts a little bit of money into people on 40,000. It puts a lot more into my pockets. It's actually a bit like, you know, eating a pizza with Jerry Brownlee. You know, you might be at the table, you might be getting something, but you know you're not going to get your share if you're an average worker. First of all, it's got to be a quick investment, and it's got to be big.
It should be based on the performance of the company, of course. I mean, it's
but that hasn't come as a plan, has it?
Those kinds of black and white, you know, everybody should do this stuff is just rubbish. What you should be...
It's hands up those who agree with a 35-hour week. Oh yeah, about 10 people. Charles, are we talking ourselves into it?
No, well, the media's talked us into having a recession that hasn't happened yet. It's going to happen, and what we need is a Green New Deal, green jobs, and investment across the public sector, the community sector, with hope for the future out of this.
Phil, are we talking ourselves into it?
No, we're not. The objective data from around the world suggests that we're in some difficulty, but we can, by talking, make it better to get out and make it faster to get out. So the talking's good.